Listen closely, my friends, because what you are about to hear is not just a story, it is a warning. Many people say the most dangerous time for a woman is when she carries life in her womb. But danger does not only come from sickness or hardship, sometimes it hides in the food you eat, in the drink you share, and in the places you least expect. There was once a woman in a small Nigerian village who thought she was safe because she lived among people she trusted. But one simple meal, taken outside her home, turned her joy into a long night of terror. This is not just a tale for mothers, it is for fathers, children, elders, and every listener who values life. As I take you into the heart of this story, let your ears stay open, let your eyes see beyond the ordinary, and let your spirit learn the lesson that saved generations after her. Sit well, lean close, because once I begin, you cannot stop until the final word is spoken. In the wide lands of Anambra, hidden between tall palm trees and the red suns of the east, there was a village called Amaniora. The village was alive with culture. Every morning, women went to the stream with clay pots on their heads, men prepared their cutlasses for the farm, and children's laughter echoed as they played in the dust. Goats bleated near mud houses, roosters crowed, and the smell of roasted corn filled the air during market days. Amaniora was not the biggest village, but it was rich in unity, traditions, and the unseen mysteries that people feared and respected. In this village lived a young woman named Nkem. She was heavy with child, her first pregnancy after many years of waiting. Her belly was round like a calabash, and her face glowed with the joy of expectation. People in the village often stopped to bless her, saying, "Nkem, your child will bring light to this family." But what Nkem did not know was that while many rejoiced with her, a few carried hearts darker than midnight, watching her with envy. Like many pregnant women, Nkem had strong cravings. Some days she longed for roasted plantain with spicy pepper sauce, other days, she desired palm wine so much that her husband had to beg elders to let her take just a sip. But her greatest weakness was akara, those golden, crispy bean cakes fried fresh in palm oil. Each time she passed through the village square and the aroma filled her nose, her mouth watered, and her unborn child kicked as though demanding it. One fateful market day, as the sun blazed over Amaniora, Nkem went to buy palm oil and vegetables. But when she reached the square, her eyes caught the sizzling akara being fried by a woman named Ebo. The beans bubbled in the oil, the smell was irresistible, and hunger clutched Nkem's stomach. She hesitated, for her mother had warned her, pregnant women must not eat food carelessly outside. But her cravings grew stronger, and she stepped closer to Ebo's tray without knowing that this simple step was leading her into danger. Ebo was not just any food seller, she was known in the village for her sharp tongue and her bitter jealousy. Many women avoided her store, not because her food was bad, but because her spirit carried shadows. Years ago, Ebo had lost her own children in mysterious ways, and since then, her eyes often burned when she saw another woman's happiness. Still, her akara was sweet, and hunger made people forget warnings. When Nkem greeted her that day, Ebo's lips curved into a smile, but her heart was heavy with envy. She looked at Nkem's round stomach and thought, why should she enjoy what was taken from me? As she scooped hot akara into a leaf and handed it over, her mind whispered dark intentions. Nkem, blinded by her cravings, took the food with joy, not noticing the strange gleam in Ebo's eyes. Nkem sat under the shade of a mango tree and opened her akara. The first bite was hot, crunchy, and delicious. She smiled as oil dripped onto her wrapper. The child in her womb kicked as though dancing, and she laughed softly. But as she took the second bite, a strange taste lingered on her tongue. It was bitter, like ground herbs mixed with ashes. She frowned, but her hunger pushed her to continue. Moments later, her body began to feel heavy. Her heartbeat raced faster than the talking drum during a festival. Sweat rolled down her face even though the wind blew cool. Suddenly, sharp pains struck her stomach, and she gasped, clutching her belly. The akara fell from her hand onto the red earth, and she realized something was terribly wrong. Fear gripped her heart, but it was already too late. As the pain grew unbearable, Nkem screamed, her voice rising above the sounds of the market. People gathered quickly, some shouting, others confused. Her wrapper loosened as she rolled on the ground, her hands holding her stomach as if to protect the child within. A few women rushed forward, recognizing that something unseen was attacking her. Among the crowd, one old woman, Mama Ifeoma, pushed her way through. She was respected in the village, known for her knowledge of herbs and hidden dangers. When she bent over Nkem and sniffed the dropped akra, her face darkened. "This is not ordinary food," she declared. "This is food mixed with poison from envy." The crowd gasped, their eyes turning toward Ebo's stall. But before anyone could speak, Ebo had already vanished from the square. Nkem's husband, Okachukwu, arrived just as his wife was being carried home by neighbors. His heart broke to see her groaning in pain, her eyes rolling back as though the world was slipping away. He begged Mama Ifeoma to save her, crying, "Please, do not let my wife or child die." The old woman remained calm, but her hands moved quickly, preparing herbs, chanting old incantations, and sprinkling palm wine on Nkem's lips. That night was long and filled with fear. The moon shone brightly over Amoniora, but inside Okachukwu's hut, shadows danced on the walls as the family prayed. Nkem fought between life and death, her breath shallow, her stomach tight. It was as though unseen hands were dragging her child away. Okachukwu held her hand, refusing to let go, whispering, "Stay with me, my love. Stay with me." The cries of crickets outside mixed with the groans of a woman struggling for her life. As midnight came, Nkem slipped into a deep silence. Her body was still, and for a moment, everyone thought she had crossed to the land of spirits. But in her mind, she found herself walking through a thick forest where shadows whispered her name. She saw a figure, a tall, dark woman dressed in black, carrying a calabash filled with ashes. The woman stretched her hand and said, "Give me the child. It does not belong to you." Nkem trembled, realizing this was no ordinary dream. Her spirit fought back, crying, "This child is mine. This child was given to me by God." The dark woman hissed, but just then, Mama Ifeoma's voice echoed like thunder in the forest, calling Nkem back. She felt a hand pulling her, and she woke up gasping for air. Her family shouted in joy, believing she had returned from the edge of death. Meanwhile, Ebo had run to the outskirts of the village, hiding in the bush near the river. Her heart pounded, and her eyes glowed with fear. She knew the village would soon come for her, but she did not care. In her mind, she believed she had done justice to her pain. "If I cannot have children, why should others rejoice?" she muttered bitterly. But the spirits were already turning against her. Owls hooted above, and the wind carried whispers of judgment. By morning, word had spread across Amoniora. The elders gathered, and messengers were sent to search for Ebo. They declared that anyone who poisoned a pregnant woman had committed a crime not only against the family but against the gods. Ebo's days in the village were numbered, and justice was coming swiftly like a storm. Mama Ifeoma knew that ordinary herbs would not be enough. She called the elders and announced that a cleansing ritual must be performed to protect Nkem and her unborn child. At sunset, the villagers gathered at the shrine of Oni, the earth goddess. Kola nuts were broken, palm oil was poured on the ground, and chants rose into the night sky. The air was thick with the smell of burning incense and the sound of drums. Nkem was brought forward, weak but alive. As the ritual began, Mama Ifeoma tied a white cloth around her waist and sprinkled her with sacred water. She declared, "No child of envy shall take what belongs to this woman. No poison shall live in her blood." The people clapped, stamping their feet on the red earth. Slowly, the pains in Nkem's stomach eased, and her breathing became steady. A new strength flowed into her, and the child in her womb kicked with life once more. When morning came, the village elders made a decree: no pregnant woman in Amoniora must ever eat food outside without knowing its source. Families were warned to guard their wives, and strangers were watched more closely. Ebo was captured days later by the riverbank, and though she begged for mercy, the elders banished her forever. She left with nothing but her bitterness, wandering into the unknown. As for Nkem, months later she gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The whole village celebrated, singing and dancing, for it was believed the child had fought death even before he entered the world. People called him Chokudi, meaning a god exists. From that day on, the story of Nkem became a warning passed down through generations. Pregnant women must be careful of what they eat outside, for not every hand that feeds you wishes you well. And so, my dear listeners, the tale of Nkem teaches us that life is fragile, and jealousy is more dangerous than poison. Sometimes, the sweetest food can carry the deadliest secret. As you go about your day, remember, protect yourself, protect your loved ones, and never take lightly the wisdom of our ancestors. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another powerful folktale. Until next time, keep your heart wise, your ears open, and your spirit strong.